Aren't you pleased? I am my own child.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to September's leadership team meeting. We have one new face here. Brandy Norbom, our new IS operations manager, is here. I think you know everyone. So we won't do a round of introductions. Thank you for coming. Looking forward to your attendance here going forward. This morning, so the first item is reviewing the department work plan for essential services. I sent a copy out this morning, and there's printed copies here for everyone in the room. As usual, I'll go through here and just highlight some of the noteworthy things. And feel free to interject and ask for updates on things I'm not covering or going over, passing over on the list. So starting with human resources, staff are doing an amazing job keeping up with all of the work that's coming to them in the middle of bargaining and all of these studies. So highlights here are for the operations and services assessment. Mackenzie and I have met with 2 vendors now to talk about an operational audit for HR. I think the work's going to be great. We'll need to talk about cost and if it's something we want to invest in at this time, but we definitely have some great options ahead of us. The job classification study, this is effectively done. We have the final report and recommendations from Troop for all groups. The AFSCME job descriptions have been sent out to directors and employees, and that process is going through bargaining. The non-rep Teamsters and paid part-time, which we're loosely calling all others because it's a shorter way to say it. Those job descriptions are also done. We're just doing some final formatting before we distribute those to the groups. And so hopefully that will be done by the end of this month. And then we still haven't distributed the final report and recommendations to everyone because we are in the middle of bargaining. So that's on hold until I have the funds up to proceed with the distribution of that information. For the compensation and pay equity study, the AFSCME final report and recommendations are completed. That is going through the bargaining process. The other group, the comparator survey for the other groups is also completed. HR staff and myself have reviewed the preliminary recommendations. The labor attorney has completed the pay equity analysis, and we are awaiting the final report and recommendations for those groups. The elected official survey is completed, and HR staff and I have talked with Troop about the preliminary recommendations for that, and I am awaiting the final report for that group, and then we will talk with I'll present that information to the compensation board. And then similar to the job classification study, the final reports and recommendations for all of that work will be distributed as soon as I can distribute them. Bargaining continues to move along. We've accomplished 8 sessions at this point. There were 2 that had to be canceled because of schedules and such, and we have several bargaining sessions coming up this month and through October. We are also in the middle of Teamsters bargaining for sergeants. The sergeants have unionized, and so there's no collective bargaining agreement for that group, so we are going through the bargaining process for that group. There should be some correspondence coming out from Mackenzie in the next month or so, and myself regarding just a reminder of our emergency weather protocols. Some of this is on the bargaining table, so subject to change, but right now we'll just be sharing the information that I'll be resharing the information that I sent out in January, as well as Mackenzie's correspondence will largely be around. Is there a question? Debbie, was there a question that popped up in the chat? Oh, sorry. Mackenzie's correspondence will be around just a reminder to update your phone trees. We'll get our list update, make sure people are signed up in Nixle, all of that kind of stuff. ADP expansion. Mackenzie's been working on getting the performance evaluations for employees into ADP. Some of you may have been part of that pilot group. She sent out correspondence. We are officially doing that across the county. She sent out some correspondence a couple of weeks ago. We aren't mandating that be done yet. We're in a transition period, but She was gonna be here today to do a training on that, to walk through the leadership team in addition to the materials that were sent out, but we're postponing that till next month, and there'll be some all-employee training as well. So more coming on that, but if you feel confident using ADP with the information that you've received for employee evaluations, please do so, because we are going that way, but we're building in some cushion. Under legal, operations and services assessment implementation, you may have seen the calendar invitation for a second and final interview for our final county council candidate, October 3rd at 3:30. There'll be the half-hour meet and greet, same structure that we've done before, the meet and greet with all of leadership team, and then going right into the final interview. So I encourage you to attend that if you want to meet the final candidate. Under information services, I'll let Brandy talk about this more in her report, but just to highlight, similar to HR, we have started conversations with one vendor and looking for others on an audit. And then we're gonna have a customer service survey going out later today. So I'll let Brandy talk about that, but that's exciting. Under facilities, the only thing I wanted to highlight here was the courthouse space assessment. DLR has their marching orders on how to wrap that report up. Essentially, the board at the meeting at August 29th, at the end of August, affirmed their philosophy on they want central services together. They affirmed that we need 13,000 square feet more that we don't have in the courthouse. That came out of DLR's recommendation after their analysis, and that we need an annex. And so from there, and that the court and supported departments and departments supporting court services stay in the courthouse. So from there, who is actually leaving or staying beyond that would be after more in-depth analysis. In a forthcoming process. So I don't expect a report out unless the commissioners would like one on that final report, but it shouldn't have anything new that we haven't talked about already. So once that report is completed, which I expect to be by the end of the month, I'll share that with the group, and then that will conclude the courthouse space assessment, and then we need to talk about how to implement it. On the back page, under finance, operations and services assessment implementation, this is the transition of some of the duties in the treasurer's office and the creation of the new director of financial services position with Deborah Jacob being appointed to that position. This is a transition process that we're working through. The treasurer's office staff have done a great job in working through what are all the duties that we do, how do we ensure that we have separation of duties per auditor requirements, how do we ensure that work is still gonna be handled in a timely manner, all of that kind of stuff. They have been diving in and making a lot of great progress on that. So I don't have the timeline on that, but it's, in my opinion, going in the right direction. Utility fee implementation, public service charge, out of Tiberius's contract for the revenue generation and cost reduction strategies, the opportunities analysis, there was a little bit of funding left over in that contract. Or I should say contract authority in that contract. We are going to be using the balance of that money and still being funded by ARPA to help support the further exploration of the public service charge. So the board affirmed several months ago out of the Tiberius work that they were interested in exploring a public service charge. There's a lot that goes into that. It's not just a fee and a board order. So looking for Tiberius to provide a little bit of capacity to the county to move that forward, and that's a longer term strategy. That is moving forward. We've executed the agreement with Tiberius to conduct the financial assessment. Their timeline goes through February. I've expedited that a little bit from their original timeline. I'm hoping it's gonna be sooner. The first part of their scope of work, after we've sent them the information that they've requested to implement that, is already looking like it's gonna be quicker. So I'm hoping this is done by the end of the year, but we're gonna do our best. But that's an exciting body of work that will feed into the financial plan. The financial planning work sessions, I've talked about this a few times. The first calendar hold we had was at the end of July. That got pushed because of bargaining. I had a second hold at the end of September. That got pushed because of bargaining. At this point, we are looking at October 6th from 12 to 3 p.m. That'll be a public meeting with the budget committee, if they're able to attend present, but it is a board workshop, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of things, all of these projects on here, updates, costs, strategies, budget philosophies, slow rolling positions. It's gonna start out with a large update, and then I'm hoping to come out of it with a few strategies that we can specifically implement coming out of that meeting. So stay tuned to that. It's gonna be a really important meeting. Yeah, lot will be talked about in that meeting. And then lastly, on this spreadsheet, under executive team deliberation, BOC annual strategic plan, central services CAO review, in one of the orders that appointed, that created the central services department and the CAO position, there was an acknowledgement that or affirmation that it was probationary and that it was going to be reevaluated in August. So I've had this on my radar for quite some time. August ran away with me with other workload priorities, and but in September, we're gonna be looking at that review. So I don't know how extensive it's gonna be. I started talking with Mike Gleason about some ideas on how to do that. I think he may be the one to come in and talk with people, talk with the board about how it's working, and generate a report, just an initial idea. But we are gonna be working through that, and then we'll either need to present to the board to make this a permanent arrangement or extend the probationary period by board order. So I'm sure you'll all be involved in that in some fashion. Other than that, just other projects outside of this workload. Wanted to flag the prioritization of the TLT facilities. The TAC has concluded their prioritization, and NAN is planning to come before you all, and this depends on when I can get the information to you, but we're looking at September 17th, or I think it's the 24th is the following Wednesday. We'll talk about it in a board briefing, but want to make sure you have that information well ahead of time, so we'll plan that date accordingly. The request for proposals for the radio communication system has been open for several months, and it concludes, bids are due September 25th. So we're gonna know our price tag at the end of the month, and that'll be a big next step. And I think that is all I wanted to report out. Any questions on any of that work or anything I didn't cover?
I do have a couple of questions. Not on the list is Gallup survey, the training meeting that's
the
going to
training,
go
yeah.
on with that. There's a conflict with the NACO high performance leadership, so I told my guys prioritize the NACO over the Gallup. We get into question on non-rep pay. So we've got in there, go ahead.
Just respond to that. So the Gallup will be recorded, so they could
Thank you.
review it afterwards if they wanted.
The county council, that's just a meet and greet. I won't be able to make that, but has the decision already been made on that one? Or is this, because I noticed the interviews are done with county council, decision been made to hire, and this is kind of an interview or a meet and greet after the hire?
The interviews are not done with county council.
Okay.
And when we do the meet and greet, in any of these interviews, the decision has never been made. The meet and greet is before the final interview. So immediately following the meet and greet is the final interview.
All right, thank you. Emergency protocol, last year we had that, this is kind of more for Randy as far as the Nixle release going back out. Wouldn't mind seeing that test driven a couple more times before we actually hit an event. So one of the comments coming from the staff is that they're not necessarily getting that. It may not be relayed down. So a test operation before we start getting into winter.
Yeah, I'll send out one here this week, and it'll record who's responded, who hasn't, so I can look at it and see who hasn't, and I can contact them and say, Chris, why didn't you respond? Did you not get it, or what? And so then we can iron that down, because it will tell me who's responded.
And maybe an email ahead of that, Randy, that says, please respond.
Yes.
Just because when they're in action and you do get them, you get a lot, and it says you can respond, but I certainly don't always respond, right? So
Shame on you.
I know, so I think the
okay.
importance, particularly in this test run, of this response, so that it does give us that assurance that everyone's there, because it certainly was helpful as the chair, which will be Commissioner Fournier next, to be able to not have to go through and send the emails and do all the extra, other steps that I was trying to do in the last set of emergencies over the winter, but to have the Nixle take the place of that. So it is really important that staff understand that that is going to be the tool, and that we do need to get everybody.
Rachel, I will send you a copy of the people, and if I'm missing somebody, you can let me know to add onto that, because we were doing with managers and directors, I think, so.
Yeah. We won't have the updated list for a couple of weeks yet, because Mackenzie's gonna be reaching out to managers to
Okay.
get an update, so.
Maybe I'll wait for that.
I think that would be ideal,
Okay,
yeah. We have a little, I wanted to try to get all this wrapped up by October, because I think we have a little, maybe a month left.
Right.
So I think we have a little bit of time, but
We've
yeah.
got
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Not
What
a
I
problem.
would request though is when they onboard, is that would be a prime time to get them signed up for Nixle,
Mhm.
right at the onboard.
Yep, I agree with the testing. Okay, any other questions, comments? Anyone online?
Yeah, I just dropped something in the chat, Rachel, about the revenue generation cost reduction strategy from Tiberius. If it was out, I probably missed it. Are you going to send that out prior to the tentative October 6th planning session?
I'm hoping to. That's one of the pieces.
Okay.
I may have to dance around a little bit. But the goal is to be able to talk about it. I don't know if I can yet. Is that helpful? But you didn't miss it.
Yes.
You don't have the report yet.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see if there's any alignment with what we're trying to do with the consultant. So thank you.
Okay, with that, on to Joel's topic, courthouse exclusion process and presiding judge order. Joel?
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to let everyone know that Judge Hill, as the presiding judge, recently issued a presiding judge's order that provides a process for excluding individuals from the courthouse for safety or security concerns. I will note that this policy and this order only apply at the courthouse. Other county-owned or controlled facilities are determined through a very similar process, but it's in a board order from 2014. It's order 14076. I can send that out to the group after the meeting as well. But I know Debbie, with the agenda, attached the recent presiding judge's order, so wanted to make sure everyone had that. Again, it applies at the courthouse, provides the criteria, kind of what the process is. Very similar to what we've been doing for the past decade, as far as it's the same form. The individual has a right to a review hearing, but the PJ order does provide some clarity on who can make the decision regarding exclusion, and it specifically lists certain members of circuit court, the justice of the peace, sheriff's office, county council, and court security. Judge Hill and his staff consulted with the sheriff's office in developing this. It is important to remember, as always, that if there's ever an issue in the courthouse that presents an immediate safety concern, the first thing should always be contacting law enforcement and or court security. Let them respond to the immediate issue, and then after the fact, appropriate responses will be determined as far as whether or not it warrants exclusion, things like that. But anytime there's a safety issue, notify law enforcement first, let them address it. But this is the exclusion process, though rarely used, is an important tool in the toolbox for addressing safety concerns. And there's still a process whereby even someone who's excluded can get into the building to conduct necessary business, and that's always something we can work out as well. But this order went into effect recently, so I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of it, see if there were any questions. I wouldn't recommend we discuss any particular issues or incidents in this meeting, but I'm always happy, feel free to reach out, shoot me an email or a call after this, and we can talk about specific, any specific incidents or concerns you have. And I will also send out that BOCC order that is over a decade old now, but it provides a similar process, and it applies to county-owned or controlled properties in the county as well.
Questions for Joel?
Does anyone have any questions about this presiding judge's order?
Joel, I just have a couple of comments. I did speak
Okay.
with Joel about this because of recent events. One of the things I just want to remind our staff that have offices outside of the courthouse is don't hesitate to, if you have somebody coming in, especially DCD, we have a lot of people that come in there and just scream and yell and are totally inappropriate. I always tell people they don't have a right to come in these buildings and do that. They can do most of their business online. So our staff need to feel safe at all times. And one of the things about the old BOCC thing that Joel and I have been talking about is it requires a law enforcement component for them to determine the risk. And I would say that we need to revisit that. That a department head has a right based on obvious behavior, even if it's videoed or whatever, but I don't think it has to be rise to a criminal level for Dan to be able to kick somebody off out of the park or out of the office of the park or public works. So I just want to make sure that if you guys have any concerns, let Joel know. Also, I'm willing to talk to you guys about it, but I want everybody to feel safe in their workspace. So anyways, thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Commissioner. And that's definitely something we can look at revisiting and updating that order. That order was put in place, as I said, over a decade ago. It was in response to a ruling out of the local circuit court regarding our previous exclusion process. So it incorporated some due process requirements that we now follow, that includes a appeal hearing and things like that. So it's been in place for a while. We can always look at revisiting it.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, thanks, Joel, I think that would be useful.
Okay, newsworthy department updates. Let's start online. Dawn?
Hello, how's it going? We have just a few updates for the library. The fountain in the park is being worked on by the Library Foundation. And so we're excited. That's kind of the last piece that needs to be put into place in the park. You might remember we had a previous fountain there that had a little too much community engagement. And so we had to replace it. That piece is being, I believe, re-put together, but not as a fountain. It could not last as a fountain. So excited to have that work done, hopefully this month, and should be a nice feature there. In less exciting building news, we have the HVAC system that is being that went out in August, and we are working on getting a contract up to replace the HVAC unit. We were going to be doing that anyway, but we were hoping that the HVAC system would last through one more summer. It had been having problems before. It did not make it through this summer. So we have a rental HVAC systems in place here at the library, hoping not for too much longer before we can move on and just let the weather take care of that. This week on the Thursday, we're having our quarterly chats with the chief. Chief Troxel from the Tillamook Police Department will be here at the main library in the evening from 6 to 7 to have conversation with the community. I always go to those, so I encourage folks who are interested in that to come join us. And on the 30th of September, the South Tillamook County Library Club is celebrating its 30th anniversary. It's going to be at the Sunday market there. So should be a good time if you're down in South County and want to come out and celebrate that organization. They've done a phenomenal job of supporting the library space there and creating a really beautiful space for library operations. And then we wrapped up summer reading. And so we had over 840 participants this year, including 615 children throughout the county. I heard a lot of good feedback this year, and we're getting ready to have our debrief and talk about what went well and where we can improve moving forward. But feeling pretty good about the summer events here this year. And I think that's it for the library.
Thank you, Dawn. Jackie shared she didn't have any updates for Justice Court. Joel?
Nothing else for the group this morning. Thank you.
Sheriff Brown?
I don't really have anything. I guess I can say that we're finally getting our generator replaced. It almost didn't fit, which was going to be on the contractor, but it sounds like it's going to fit. So hopefully we get that up and running before the winter weather comes in. Other than that, just plugging away. Glad summer is winding down.
Marlene?
Sounds like multiple folks' facilities are having issues with HVAC systems and other things, and so are we. So we're also looking to do some, I guess, temporary repairs before doing a full replacement of the HVAC system in our main clinic. So facility stuff are kind of big right now before we head into winter. Communicable disease response. Some of you may have heard about the pertussis outbreaks. So there's more updates and details related to our public health response that'll be on the community update call tomorrow, so I won't dive in. But for those of you that may be aware and those of you that may not, Oregon, Washington, and California are working together to form the West Coast Healthcare Alliance in the absence of the CDC structure to respond to communicable disease and other issues related to public health and community health. So there may be more updates on that and conversations with the commissioners about how that's going to work as the state and, well, the governor and other governors are working on that protocol along with the director for public health. And the last big thing that I wanted to mention in relation to financial planning or assessment that we've been talking about for kind of the county, but not necessarily special revenue funds, is we're continuing to dive a little bit deeper and working with a consultant on our projected costs, expenditures, and revenue for the next 2 to 3 years before big cuts hit in 27-28 that we're anticipating, and then looking at revenue production strategies and cost saving measures with a lot of big expenses coming this year, like the HVAC system, lots of computer replacements, increases in staff. So hopefully I'll have more information that can align some with the conversations with the county overall in October. And we can talk a little bit before that, Commissioner Scar and Rachel too, to see how that might help out with our stuff. And I think that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick?
Hello. So we're having a veterans convention on October 10th at the Tillamook County Fairgrounds from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There'll be lunch provided for the veterans, different social services, and camaraderie. That's all I got.
Thank you. Sarah?
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning. Just a couple of quick updates. One, we're excited. All of the middle housing code amendments were adopted by the board last Wednesday for most of our unincorporated communities. So we are wrapping up that process and moving on to some announcements in partnership with the Tillamook County Housing Commission so that our communities know that those updates are now done, and hopefully we'll start seeing some applications. The FEMA BiOp, as many of you know, is back at the forefront of our purview and across the state. So I will be visiting with the commissioners on Wednesday about updates to that, including guidance on how to participate in a public comment period that is now open regarding the implementation plan of the Oregon BiOp. All of that being said, we are still in litigation. There are other activities moving forward, but right now our role, I think, is best suited to prepare for anything that could happen with any of those pieces. And then with that, also working with Rachel and Parker on the MERL resolution, which is the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Fund. Just want to thank Cassandra and Sean and Rachel again for your support and assistance in that. And that will be coming back to the board briefing this Wednesday as well, with hope for a board meeting in the very near future. And I think that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, in the room, Randy?
Okay, good morning, everybody. A few updates to share this morning. The first is an update on the AI policy. I have a revised draft. It's got some minor changes and I think it's ready to share, so I'll send it out to the leadership team today, just for your guys' review. Please share your thoughts and don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions or feedback. The next update, Rachel touched on this a little bit, is the customer survey that will also be going out to all county staff today. The Information Services Department welcomes your input on how we're doing. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. We'll just use that feedback to identify some strengths and weaknesses and to hopefully improve our services. So please look out for the email. Survey will be open until September 22nd. And I'll send a reminder out as well. Another update is I'll be sending out some requests to meet with department leaders. I want to have that time be your time to let me and Rachel know about your departmental goals, any current challenges you're facing, and just how information services can better serve you. So please look out for those requests. I'm sure we'll have to play some calendar back and forth, get everybody scheduled in, but I'm looking forward to meeting with you all. And then my last update is just to let you know about our staffing levels for the next month. We're expecting to be a little short-staffed in October. We have a staff member who is anticipating being on medical leave, so just continue to contact the help desk through the ticketing system, and please utilize the help desk phone line. If you don't receive an answer to your call, do be sure to leave a voicemail. That way I can be like, hey, let's get back to him. So that's what I got for you guys. Thank you.
Randy?
Well, the first thing is, this morning we started our 40-hour HAZWOPER course that where county is hosting courtesy of Fire Marshal's office, and we do have a couple individuals from the solid waste. Other local people, we have them from the creamery. We have 4 from the creamery, and we have a couple from Adventist Health, and then we have some that have actually come from Springfield. Wow. And Salem Health or whatever it is, Providence, Salem or whatever. So we do have some people from outside that have come to enjoy the free training. So that's good. It's down at the airport. The other thing is, in conjunction with hazardous material, next Thursday on the 18th, we're gonna be having a tabletop exercise. We just finished the emergency response plan for hazardous material, and the company that did that is gonna be putting on a tabletop. Always invited. You don't have to be a hazmat person to come have some fun. But the tabletop, it's a good way to just see how an exercise goes that way, and it'd be really fun. Even commissioners are welcome to come. So
Even us, thanks.
wow,
for not
I'm just
excluding
kidding.
us.
We want you there, so that'll be pretty fun with that connection there. We have finished, like I say, the emergency response plan. Again, that was paid for by Fire Marshal's office. Our energy resiliency plan is basically done, but there's still a few more little tweaks they want to do. We have they've extended out through the end of the month, but they spent all their money, so they're probably done with the plan. So that'll be another plan that we have that, of course, we'll be bringing these before the county commission for their input and their acceptance. We just started our community wildfire protection plan countywide. We have a company coming in and do that. I've hired David Wells, yeah, as our project manager, so Randy can do something else maybe. So that'll be kind of fun to have him overseeing and writing herd on the contractor. Again, that's courtesy of the fire marshal. They gave us a lot of money this year, so if you see a fire marshal, say thanks. They did us good this year, so. And that plan will be started. They're working, they formed their steering committee and a few other things, so they're really gonna get started on that and get that going, so. And that's kind of what we've been doing, so. And just trying to catch up on everything. And I'm gonna be looking at doing some training here in the county with some more ICS courses, and then we have one that's really important is the public officials and how they fit in with our emergency operations center. It's a great course, and we'll have all our public officials and maybe even department heads attend that, because it's really kind of a good course. So as soon as things quiet down and no one has any excuses of why they can't attend training, Chris, anyway, no, just kidding. The other thing too is me and Chris have been working, and luckily Chris is more knowledgeable than I am. We have 2 FEMA grants that we've been working on. One is the Holden Creek, and every time we send in more information, they request 10 times more. And so right now it's in FEMA's hands, and we just submitted another, wow. I sent him tons of stuff that Chris got for me, and it'll be interesting to see what they say there. But at least we're moving forward with that one. We're also doing the put the flood sensors out on the Fraser Road. So, and I've got to send off the information Chris gave me and some other stuff on that one. Again, more information that they keep wanting. The state wanted more, now FEMA wants more, and as long as they keep asking, that means we're still in the running. So, and these grants were tied to the winter storm we had last year, not this year, but the year before, is what this grant money was tied to on that one too. The only problem is that there's a match on that, so we can use in kind, or we're gonna have to dig up some money for that, but we'll figure it out. So, other than that, that's what we've got going.
Randy, was there a date for the weather briefing meeting?
No, I'll get that hooked up there. I've gotta see when the state does one, and ODOT does one, and so I just wanna find out when our National Weather Service people are available, and we'll try to get that. And I got to talk to Tilda, since she's the one that sponsors it, because she has Jane come in and videotape it, so a lot of it's with Jane's availability, and make sure Tilda still wants to put the bill on that one. So we'll probably have it again down at the officers' mess, because it's a nice large place we can have and get lots of people there. So I'm hoping for, by the first part of October, we should have that. Hopefully maybe by the end of September, and then we'll be the first one out before everybody else does theirs. So, and again, it's gonna be our local weather service people. And with their funding cuts, I'm hoping that they still can be here in person. Maybe I'll have to use a little county money to help them come here, so. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one thing we'll be doing with that one. And hopefully we'll do it at about the same time we're sending out Nixle alerts, so we'll look at that by the end of the month. And I expect all department heads to be to that weather briefing. Can we order them to come, Commissioner? But anyway, at least I would like to get all the department heads to that, because it's a way that the weather service comes in, gives us a prediction for our weather, of what we're going to expect. It's a way for you to meet them. They also have lots of good contact information that you can go to. They've got a lot of the different web pages and things. There's so much information out there. that you can look at and kind of make your own decisions on a lot of things. It's things me and Chris use all the time to make decisions on closures and what to do. So, and that's the other thing too, is that there's a lot of good information out there for everybody just to have. And then you can help me make decisions. Just so.
Thank you.
You bet.
So our auditors were on site here 2 weeks ago. Appreciate everyone's responses to the information that we requested from you. Just to give you an idea, we had 148 initial requests from them, uploaded over 950 items. This includes our internal controls and processes, vouchers, capital items. Between Deborah and I, we had over 150 emails with more information responded or received from them. We have only 3 outstanding items, so we'll get those cleaned up this week. And again, we appreciate everybody getting the information to us as soon as you could. It helps us. Our goal is to get our annual comprehensive financial report completed before the end of October and get that submitted for our next award. We are in the middle of month-end close. We're waiting on 2 statements and the fair journal entry, so we hope to have that done tomorrow. We did have a meeting with our new cost allocation plan vendor, which went really well. She was impressed that we were using a outdated software for so long, and she was really impressed with the information that we were capturing. She took a look at what we were gaining to come back into the general fund for the services we provide to the special revenue funds, and she did not have any additional information that we weren't capturing. I'm really impressed because it's all an import and I will not have to hand key it all in, so that is really nice. And it is nice that we now have a help desk to go to and able to add additional funds in that we haven't been capturing because we do not have that help with the old plan. So that was really nice to be looking forward to that. So you'll be seeing requests for cost allocation information going out hopefully this week or at least before the end of September. We talked with the vendor on potentially importing our AP and AR information. We've had 1 meeting with them. I think Brandy, you were there with us. We scheduled one for next week and then realized Deborah and I are both at conference next week. So we will be scheduling that one hopefully very soon. I think right now it'll help our office. Potentially in the future it'll help additional departments with AP and AR importing. Other than that, like I said, we're shorthanded next week with 2 of us at conference. That leaves only 2 of us in the office. We'll be handling your calls or if you stop by.
We don't have a November election, which is exciting. So we have a little bit of a break. So we haven't had that for a few years. So it's kind of nice for us to kind of have some downtime to take care of some office things that we'd like to get done. TextMyGov went live on the 28th. It's been really great. I will put a pitch out there for other departments that aren't using it, but we have a log of what people text in questions for, and so a lot of them are parks related, solid waste related, road related. So other departments that might want to have a conversation about that, it's like setting up keywords that people can ask. They get a direct link to go to the exact page on our website that can answer their questions. So I'm just pitching it. It's obviously not required, but I think it's a great thing. It cuts down on the number of phone calls and things. So anyway, just throwing that out there.
Steve, what are your top searches? What are the most requests?
Elections, recordings, marriages, DOS.
Something costs or what the process is?
I'm sorry, what?
Around
I'm
that.
so sorry.
No, around that. What's a specific question? What's the process? What's the cost or all of that?
Just like all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have questions. Oh, about like when people are keying in for
I'm
things.
wondering what people are asking the most about.
Oh, like they
Yeah.
want information on like spaces and reservations for parks. They want information on where do they take their oil, where do they dispose of oil, there was like a tree somewhere or a road issue or something. So like those are the questions that are coming in. We have the ability to go and look at the log, and we can filter out the things that are pertinent to the tax and assessment in the clerk's office. But the other ones, someone in, I think Jeff is going to be directing people to, I believe. But it's just it's a great way for people to get information without having to contact, and some people don't wanna call, or if it's in the middle of the night, you're like, oh crap, I kinda wanna do this week, and, yeah, you go to the county website, you know, people aren't open, but you can gain information. So,
So currently, if it's like a public works question or solid
it's not
waste,
set up,
oh, it's not set up yet.
no, and I
So
think
if they
that's
ask that question now, what happens?
not my.
Just goes in the
not my
ether.
duty, but it goes out there, it sits in a queue.
Okay,
So, and then if people don't get a response, they get agitated because there's no response. So we've set it up where it's clear that it's tax assessment and clerk's office that are utilizing it right now, and then we have a widget on each of our pages. And if there's a widget, just by contract has to be on our homepage. But it does say tax and assessment, clerk's office. But still people are texting in, asking questions that aren't assessment, tax related or clerk related, so.
So there's no generic, you're not gonna get a response because X, Y, Z.
They get a response back that says, sorry, this isn't set up.
Oh, so they do.
They get a response back that says it's not set up. So
Okay.
if people want to take the time and set up some keywords, it's just typing in the keywords, taking the link from your page and embedding it there. Then when they go and text, they just get the response back with the direct link to your page. So think about it. Like I
okay,
said, it's just a.
I'll put him on the spot right now. Dan, you have any interest in this? Chris?
We've looked at it, but we haven't come to a conclusion yet, only because we get well over 100 calls a day and we get tons of emails, so I didn't really understand that it was this
Me either.
prevalent. But obviously, the more we can have the public reach out to us, let us know what their concerns are, the better. But we just, we also wanna try to manage the workload that comes in as well, so we're effective in our responses.
Just wondering if it'll cut down on phone calls maybe,
Right.
so we don't have those.
Just a little side note, Jeff accidentally made the widget live like a month before it was supposed to go live, and it was live for like 4 hours, and 25 alerts were all for the Parks Department. Like, that was it, it was all,
Well,
it was all
Dan,
Parks. So I'm just saying, just a little feedback for you.
Maybe that would have been 25 calls.
that's
Just saying.
25 phone calls.
That maybe you wouldn't have gotten if they could have gotten the answer.
Well, that moves that up higher on the priority list.
Anyway, just so you know,
That's great.
I just, like I said, I'm no pressure at all, it's been beneficial for us, and I think it will be beneficial for people, our public. So anyway, so that's that. Happy to answer any questions or hook you guys up with. the
Yeah,
person, so.
I'll connect with you
Yeah,
later.
perfect.
I wasn't aware that you're getting any of those, so,
Right?
Yeah,
yeah, kind of pointing them in our direction or solid waste direction. There's a lot of stuff online.
yep, and I think a lot of times people get confused, like I know, like we could direct people, we know it's familiar for us, so we know, well, you just go here, here, and here. But the general public, when they're looking at it, sometimes it's confusing. Well, I have this list of people, but which department is it? And I think naming conventions are hard, it's confusing, so anyway, yeah.
How hard is it to like say Chris wanted to do this? How hard is it?
For me, I spent a day,
Just getting the
probably
links?
5 hours, I just sat down and I went in and I just said, okay, what are cause we all know, if you talk to the people that are answering the phones, you know what the common questions are.
Yeah.
You know, like people are calling, well, when's the next board meeting, or where can I find an agenda, or where is the meeting link? I just picked the top keywords that people are asking, and it's a keyword search, you can put multiple words in, and you just go right to your webpage, copy and paste the link in, and just say, for more information on FLOP, click on this link, so.
Deb, do we use it?
We do not.
But she's working on a list of.
Good.
Yeah.
Under Sheriff Kelly, does the sheriff office use it yet?
Nope, I've never heard of it.
All right, we'll have Chrissy talk to you, give you an in-service.
Well, is this something that's coming out through IAS? I mean, how did we get hooked into this? It's great that we have. I'm just curious how we got hooked into it and if there is a.
Well, they're at our conferences quite often, so
Oh,
I learned
gotcha.
about it, and Klamath County uses it, and she said it's been really great, like, and then the longer they've had it, the more departments have been like, oh, this is really cool, and they've seen it in action and have tested it out, and so I looked at it, I thought this is actually really beneficial, and you have the option, which I know we have Nixle, but for us, if I wanna say, hey, the registration deadline, if you wanna update your voter registration, people can go in and sign up for links from a tax and assessment or from the clerk's office. And so we can push out to those people that have signed up that want alerts, hey, don't forget, update your voter registration or change your party, you need to do it by this date. And then we can link directly to the up to OregonVotes.gov. So people can go directly and update. So that's one of the functions we will use it for, but it's also just for data mining too. Like people can just go get information and quick links to things as well.
So it started with Christy identifying this, she brought it to the leadership team meeting with Jeff. Cassandra was also interested in it. We've talked about it at a couple leadership team meetings, and so they're actively using it and they've shared how they're using it. I guess if you're interested, going through IS to get it started, but yeah.
Great.
So we have a contract with them.
Okay, the other thing that I signed a contract with Helion last week for PROS, it stands for Property Record Alert System. It gives, and we're gonna be paying for it, we aren't going to be charging the public, it's $1,000 a year. But you can go and sign up for property alerts, so you can put in a name. So you can put, Aaron Scar, you can do up to 10 names. And you can also put your property ID number, so your tax ID number for your specific property. And it will alert you when you'll get an email alert when something has been recorded, either in your name or under your property ID. We've had a lot of people concerned about fraudulent transactions on property, which we have had a couple in the last couple of years. We've had more. And we'll be adding property ID numbers to our indexing, which we typically haven't been historically, but we'll be starting doing that from now forward. So you'll be able to track a transaction that happens. So if you're interested in that, I'm happy to tell you about that. And then we also will be indexing notaries, because notary fraud has become quite prevalent as well. So we're going to be indexing the notary name and their commission number. So we often get calls and people asking us for information on the specific notary and fraudulent activity. So we'll be able to provide that to them. But again, we're not going to be going back and tracking, but we're going to start from present going forward. And then I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to advocate for election funding and infrastructure on the 29th. So we'll meet with Congress on the 30th. So excited about that. So that will be fun. So it'll be a fun day. And that's all.
So good morning, everybody. First of all, Parks has had a great summer so far. I say so far because although numbers are starting to dwindle during the week, weekends are still relatively busy. We'd love to see that. And they probably will be at least to the middle of October after the rains start. So, and I say that because reservation numbers are up, our rate of major incidents is down, and our ability to retain particularly seasonal staff has been pretty high this year. So I think that things are going okay, at least till somebody tells me different, right? With that, just know that we're in the middle of our re-planning process for the front entry to make that bigger, faster, stronger, certainly more efficient. And we've also entered into a small contract with a landscape architectural firm out of Portland by the name of Akana, and they're looking at with us. We're looking at how we can expand Barview Park and to maximize its utilization, because we know that we make money there. It's pretty much a given. That park supports almost everything else that we have, so it makes sense to invest in that as far as additional spaces are concerned. I think that again, we appreciate the opportunity to participate in these meetings, to know what's happening, and if Park ever can do anything for anybody, please let us know. We'll do the best we can. Thank you.
Dan, can you attribute anything to the reduction in the incidents?
I would say a lot of it is law enforcement, having Bill Weber, and his style has really helped tremendously. We've talked about that quite a bit. And I also think that we've empowered staff to handle things right then and there. There's no more waiting, there's no more, in fact, one of the things that was brought up was the exclusion. I now, after hearing this today, we've had an exclusion policy at parks for a while. I think maybe now would be time to have Joel look at that again so that we're in line with what we're doing here. But we've not been afraid to use that. In some instances, it's just been a must, and I think everybody is better off for it.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I don't have a whole bunch, just day to day, it's the start of a new school year. Usually the first 2-3 weeks is kind of a honeymoon period that will eventually impact our office because the schools are one of our biggest partners as far as having eyes on the kids. And so we're gonna have a lot more information coming in and that we're, some of which we'll have to act on and some of which we'll just have to, kind of file away. The Tillamook School District moved its alternative high school program under the roof of Tillamook High School for this coming year, which is gonna be a major change from previous years because it's been a standalone program at the old Wilson School building, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I've met the administrator there who seems to be really rock solid, and I think she'll do a good job of kind of keeping the ship between the shores, so she seems to run a tight ship, so. And then next week, the Oregon Juvenile Department Directors Association is having its annual conference in Eugene. Tillamook County is in the region that has been planning and is hosting the conference. How the Northwest region is hosting a conference located in Eugene is a long story. Anyway, but I don't know if anybody's ever been involved in planning a conference, but it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of emails, and it's a lot of phone calls. So if you're a juvenile justice, if you're a juvenile director or supervisor in the planning region, you are automatically on the conference committee. So, and me and 2 staff are headed to that Monday, Tuesday of next week. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Chris?
Extremely busy summer. We've got 4 bridges under construction, 2 at Miami, 1 on Kilchis River Road and 1 on Bay Ocean. 5th bridge will go into construction here, just limited amount of work late September. The crews have been extremely busy paving, so they've addressed Central County, so Trask River Road, been down in Pacific City and a few other odds and ends. They'll be headed up north here probably in 2 weeks and do some minor stuff up there. Holden Creek, we're working with Randy. Today I submit yet another one for Holden Creek. Holden Creek, if you're not aware, that's the main creek that runs through Tillamook. So county to city and then across ODOT and then back into county. So today at 12, I submitted another grant with, it's a 0 match on that one. So we're kind of double tagging that. If we don't get one, hopefully we'll get the other. The one that I'm submitting for through Federal Highway, that is, it's intended to do a study which will lead into construction grants. So if we can make some improvements in town, as well as outside of town. Mowing is something that's a little bit interesting. Everything's been growing really fast. We were pretty much right on the line to get some weed spraying taken care of, and the person we've been working with for the last couple of years decided about the time we were ready to put the grant in, or the contract in front of him, that he didn't want to weed spray anymore. So that put us behind on locations where we wouldn't have had to mow because the grass would have been dead. So we've been working really hard on mowing. To help that, we've been looking at a couple different type of mowers that will help us speed our production up with that. Working with the Sheriff's Department on vehicle removals within the right-of-way. For solid waste, we'll be starting construction up in Manzanita to improve some of the retaining walls, which will help everything else. We're about ready to kick into our ODOT audit. Every year we need to prove that the gas tax only goes towards roads, so we end up going through a fair amount of ODOT work audit to say, yes, our money is only going, gas tax money is only going to roads. So that is a very high level overview with that. Well, this will be last summer. We actually take care of all of our 2015 storm event damages. I want to hit ODOT here really quick. We're really tracking ODOT quite a bit with the gas tax bill that's been going through there. That directly impacts us in 2 different ways. One, any additional revenue that's generated through that bill, the counties get 30% of it, and we get a portion of that 30%. So it's not just about ODOT, it is also about us. We've cut significantly over the years, so ODOT is about ready to go maybe through what we've done. That's a good benefit to us if there's any money that's raised out of that. The second thing is, as soon as the layoff notices got put out, ODOT started shedding people. So the good people started looking for jobs and they accepted jobs elsewhere. So the project manager for the Sand Lake Road slide ended up leaving and took a job over at David Evans and Associates. So as of last week, there's a new project manager assigned to it. So that work was anticipated to be done. This is the road that drops down into Pacific City, anticipated to be done next spring or summer. Hopefully we're on track where that won't be delayed, but there's a possibility that is delayed another year because of losing the ODOT project manager through this process. It is directly impacting a lot of the geotechnical engineers that identify what happens below the ground and what type of foundation different structures need. So it's hitting us in a good and a negative light, so we're very much interested in tracking that.
Thank you for bringing up the ODOT stuff and the fact that county does have a role in that, and an important role in that with the ability for the 50-30-20. The other piece to that is that our county roads, as Chris and Kay have shed people over time, and really that was as federal timber revenue fell. Where we are right now is that has been replaced by typically the SRS payment or the Secure Rural Schools payment, which has not been reauthorized by Congress, and we do not expect that it will be. The other piece that is important is that federal timber receipts previously had come to the county, so in the absence of SRS, we at least got some timber receipts. That will not be happening. Part of HR 1 at the federal level redid how timber works at the federal level and removed counties from being a beneficiary of federal timber as it had been in the past. So we expect to see, I don't know, about $500,000 probably annually that would have been SRS the last couple of times. That's for a biennia.
No, that's annual.
Annually.
So the
we
six,
will be seeing that drop off. So the state bill becomes even more important to just maintaining us where we are.
it's a even offset. So $500,000 from the federal timber is offset by that 6%. That's currently on the voting block for the state. So
Correct.
we lose money, we gain money. It's a net loss. It's
So
a
so
net even.
assuming that the Senate passes this at the state level, we will be at a net even, which is good. If they do not, if the second half of the special session that the senators will come together for in 2 weeks, I think if that does not pass, then we will realize about $500,000 cut in our roads. So money continues to move around, and we continue to keep our eyes on that and try to prepare for that as best we can. I was at the Ron Wyden Town Hall on Friday, always a good opportunity to talk with our federal folks, and it's tradition here that the chair of the board in Tillamook County does the introductions and draws the numbers and all that. So I was able to do that on Friday, which was great, always good. I will be in Seaside today and tomorrow for an infrastructure summit where I'm presenting both days, so good fun. Next week we have our Working Lands of Waters tour, which will be a Thursday night event and Wednesday night dinner and a Thursday night event. So we'll be popping in and out of here around that. Have a couple other events coming up on the weekends, one for the Salmonberry toward the end of the month, as well as a meeting in South County related to the federal timber, or Southern Oregon related to federal timber. So I'm around, I'm just doing all of the out there commissioner things in the world. So thank you all for running county services while commissioners run around doing other things. So.
Okay, well, I just want to update, I'm not sure if you knew this, Under Sheriff Kelly provided me with some numbers on those RV removals that we did. One of the things I want to mention, this is one of those things where the public loves this. They want this. I did a Facebook short reel. I've got 30,000 views. So that's more than the population in Tillamook County watching. It's been shared, asking us to go over to Troutdale and fix it over there too. I just want to say, so so these things, once they get towed, they get brought to the port of Tillamook River. We have a lot that we pay for, and it's almost full, and that's been one of the problems. But Josh Brown was able to make some room in there with Matt. They were able to make some room, shuffle some things around so we could put those RVs in there. we have to get them inspected, and that costs about $300 a unit. $200 for the inspection, and then about $100 for 3 tests to be, samples to be sent to a lab. So Matt advised that they have 10 RVs inspected last week. 7 of them are probably clear of asbestos, 2 are possibly asbestos, and 1 is probably asbestos, has asbestos and will require abatement. Just to give you an idea, if it requires abatement, it's another $3,000 to $5,000 just to have somebody come in and take that asbestos out of it before we can crush it at the dump. And then there's some cost. The towing of these things is very expensive, so we're looking at maybe options on there. So this is becoming like a really surprising funding issue that we're gonna have to try to figure that out. There is, Commissioner Scar and I have talked about, there was a bill that failed at the last long session. We're gonna try to maybe get that back in 2027 with a focus on how it affects counties. It was mostly about how it affects tow truck companies. But when you start looking at $5,000 a piece for these are negative $5,000. So I wanted to say, one of the things that came out of it was, again, the public support. I told Chris, I got a call from some local excavation companies that they stopped me at the gas pumps asking how they could get involved and help out and don't volunteer their time and equipment to, if we have a need for that, which I think is great. I also followed up with CIS because I thought, well, why can't we just certify our own inspectors instead of spending $200 at whack? We still have 20 more out there to be inspected. So I did confirm with CIS that we can certify our employees to be asbestos building inspectors. So that's something I'll be talking to Justin at Solid Waste about, if there's some bandwidth for that, so we can save some money doing that. So that was good because the city manager told me that they would not do it. So I confirmed that it was not asbestos workers, they're just taking little samples. It's a 4-day class. And then they could do it on the side and make a ton of money doing it for other people. I will be meeting with basically 4 departments that are dealing with these kind of nuisances, houses with solid waste. So we got DCD, Public Works, Solid Waste, and the Sheriff's Office. So what I'm hoping to do is just convene the 4 of those directors, so we can come up with a plan for this in the future, whether we certify somebody, basically so we're more nimble getting rid of these RVs, so they're not sitting there. I noticed another one right at the gate on Fraser Road. It's already been tagged, so the process is already starting, but the public's starting to get interested in catching these people as well, so maybe we get more eyes out there and they see somebody pulling over and dumping one, they get the plate for us, and then law enforcement. Josh has said he is going, and I know he's done this, where he's told his deputies that this is a priority for him. He wants us going after the people that are dumping them and last registered owners, which will encourage them to get the name of the people they sell it to. So kind of a big deal. I will be going to the Oregon Coast Economic Summit in about 2 weeks, I think it is, down in Coos Bay, Coastal Caucus Economic Summit. I'm working behind the scenes. I'm gonna talk to Dan today about maybe amending, and talk to the commission about that, maybe amending our bail schedule for county ordinances, because the problem is he on here, Ryan on here? No? Jackie's on here.
Jackie's on here.
Basically, the way that it works is our bail schedule has one amount, which means that when the judge sees it, he can just reduce it to nothing, which is why a parking citation within a park gets reduced to $10 rather than to the $180, I think is a little high. So we're looking at, and I talked to the sheriff's office, and I wanted to get your input, where we could sort of match more of possibly match if you guys decide you wanna do that, and then we can look at amending this so that we have a presumptive bail, and then a minimum bail and a maximum bail. And that way that the only thing that the judge could do is go to the minimum, rather than, so on a parking ticket, maybe the minimum's $45 or $50, the same price as an annual, so it's not an outrageous amount, but it's also not dismissed or $10, so that's what I'm gonna give you after this, so. I think that's all I've got. Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Bell? Welcome back from vacation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see you all. Indeed, I am just back from vacation. I had a great time, and so I don't have much to report, but I wanted to shout out to Paul and to Sheriff Brown, that whole crew for their work on the RVs. I've heard a lot of positive feedback about it from the community, including Paul, I'll send you his name, a mechanic I know who specifically sought me out to say, I want to help with that. If you can use volunteers. I asked her, well, what do you want to do? And she said, oh, clean up, mechanic work. I don't care. So, people are really excited about it, which is great to see. So thanks for your work on that. I think that's all for me.
I got a question with that. So we used to have, we do give volunteers, master recyclers and things of that nature. And the volunteer insurance was a separate insurance. So when we start looking at some of the volunteers that might want to help with that, I don't know where we're at with the volunteer insurance, but that's one of the things that there was insurance coverage for the volunteers. It is separate than our insurance.
I know, like the
So
sheriff's
under
office,
just a different umbrella.
yeah, I think search and rescue volunteers have to, they're basically
Yeah.
non-paid employees. I think that's how they get covered, but maybe that's something we can look at. So for sure, if we have people that want, if this is a disaster and we need an extra excavator and he's willing to do it for nothing, or you guys are busy and they want to move something, it'd be nice to be able to use them if we can.
100%.
Hey, I also wanted to ask Chris if you have an update on the water project at the fairgrounds.
So the stormwater project is currently under construction. So if you drive by the fairgrounds parking lot, you will see massive holes out there. That is, we are pushing a pipe underneath 3rd Street into the city yard, which drops the water down. But to do that, we are picking up a storm drain system in the fairground parking lot. And the college is tied to that system, and we are stubbing out for future, to allow for the fairground buildings to tap into that system as well. So the core infrastructure will be there, and that's currently ongoing. So around the 1st to the middle of November, we'll be done with that.
Wow. That's exciting. That's part of that 2015 work.
That is
This
part of
is the
2015.
But I do have a question
following
regarding that. I did write down was, do you have any update? Cause I had seen that some attorney generals have been suing FEMA about the brick grants where the money was pulled back. Do you have any information on that?
That's not a brick grant, so that was tied to so that one was unique. That was tied to the Kilchus House. The Kilchus House is based on ambulatory people. So currently that is Turnstone Commons is not tied to ambulatory people, the non-ambulatory. So we lost that grant because of the conversion
Gotcha.
of the assisted living to Turnstone Commons. So had nothing to do with the attorney general.
Okay, great.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks.
A lot of back and forth arguing with FEMA, State Office of Emergency Management really went to bat for us. They actually do a really good job and try to look out for us. But yeah, a lot of fight, and we lost the fight.
Okay, any other updates? All right, our next meeting is October 6th at 9 a.m. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, they're called recreational vehicles.